see the way they hate. And I know better than to listen to people who are calling us slaves. I can feel the sunlight shining.
Well, good morning and welcome to episode 884 of the Lots Project Morning Show, where the coffee is strong, the opinions are stronger, and everything is always filter free. I'm Brian, your host, and it's April 20th, 2026. 420, man. This morning, I'm enjoying a fresh cup of FTO Blonde Espresso from foodforestfarms.com because life's too short for shitty coffee. At Food Forest Farms, your beans are roasted by real human hands using a clean stream air roaster. More than just a customer, your family. Get 10% off with code LOTS10, and shipping is always free. That's LOTS10. And remember that shipping is always free, no matter what you order, with a discount code or not. While you're there, check out the C4 Club for even more awesome perks. Today, we got another packed show, real progress on the cabin metal installation, a tale of two completely different truck service experiences, a stupid but very educational weed eater mistake, and whatever else comes up along the way. So grab your coffee, smash that like button, and let's get started. Good morning. Good morning. Scrambled University in early. We want the new garden cart story. Yeah. We'll get to that. We'll get to that for sure. Might be a minute, so stick around for sure to hear the new garden cart story. Good morning, everyone. Love you long time. Mike's Homestead, good morning to you. Rewilder Life says it's story time. And Pip, good morning, humans, and cheers to you, sir. Well, I posted in the Telegram group last night that I'd have a new garden cart story, and if you don't know about the garden cart story, man, that was quite a while ago, and it was about time for a reprise of the garden cart incident. But had an issue with garden cart out on the property. We had one that really wasn't meant for off-roading or rough ground use, and it kind of collapsed on me and fell over, and everything spilled out of it, and I got a little upset. I might have tossed it off into the weeds. So that'll give you a little clue of what that's all about, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But anyway, let's get to it, and let's get to that Bitcoin guessing game contest. We'll get to it a little early today. 6:03 on April 20th, 2026. 6:03, April 20th, 2026. Bitcoin price is $75,102. $75,102. Up pretty good from last week, I have to say. Not really exactly sure what the price was, but I know it wasn't over 70. We'll get to the guesses and see who did what. My guess, I've stayed the same, and I'm going to have to change it this week because it actually topped my guess. My guess for quite a while, it's been 72,654. See that up on the board if you're watching the video, and I encourage you to check that out on YouTube or Facebook or Twitch, even going over to Twitch for my one Twitch viewer who isn't quite here yet. But anyway, 72,654 was my guess. That is not the closest. We'll go to the other end of the spectrum. Canadian Farmstead in with a guess at 82,500. Way off. I wouldn't mind at 82,000, but a little far off. Scrambling in with 78,100. Chris Dixon not going with the three-peat. He had two in a row, but couldn't make it three. He was in with a guess of 77,457. Pip, who just joined the chat down there, he came in with a guess of 76,543 and 21 cents over John Palmer, who was also in at 76,543. They were just a little bit too far off, not quite close enough to beat Blueberry, Texas. Blueberry, Texas from the Telegram group in with a guess of 74,500. Nails it this week. Congratulations, Blueberry. You win absolutely nothing except bragging rights for the week over there in the Telegram chat. If you like guessing the Bitcoin guessing game contest, and I've been thinking about possibly giving away, I think I have maybe a Blockstream Jade or something around here that I can give away for a winner. Maybe we'll do some sort of actual giveaway contest. But if you just like guessing for the fun of it and like competing with other folks, head on over to the Telegram chat at t.me/lotschat. t.me/lotschat. Been posting pictures of our cabin build, and we talk about all sorts of fun stuff. Post goofy memes, funny pictures, and talk about all variety of topics. Yesterday we were talking about business. Someone was thinking about spinning up a little side hustle to fund a purchase. We talk about really everything. So head on over to Telegram chat at t.me/lotschat and join us for the fun. If you want to get in on the guessing game contest, all you do is click the pinned post and reply with your guess for next week. That would be April 27th, 2026. April 27th, 2026. Oh, guys, it's almost May. I got to make a new guess now that Bitcoin went over my guess, and that was my goal, was to get to over my guess. I think we're gonna go up again. How is the war going in Iran? I haven't been following. I've heard it's been up and down. I think my new guess, I'm going to say Bitcoin is going to continue to rise a little bit this week. I'm going to go with 79,876. 79,876 is my guess for next week, April 27th, 2026. Get in over at the Telegram group, t.me/lotschat. All right, let's move on. Since the new garden cart story happened yesterday, and Corey had 2 days or extra day off this week, so she had a 4-day weekend that we were working on the cabin. It's going to be a second here. I'm going to Pip says, just remember Cinco de Mayo is on Taco Tuesday this year. Is it really? I see those beams all the time. And it is. Pull up the calendar, and Pip is right. What will we do? What will we do? The almost non-important Mexican holiday that the Americans like to drink Mexican beer and party for some reason. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Right after 420. A couple weeks later, you got to eat the tacos. Maybe 420 and Cinco de Mayo should be on the same day. But anyway, we had 4 days of cabin progress. We did work 3 of those days, pretty decent amount of work 3 of those days, and the other one we had to do our normal weekly chores. I went and got laundry, but we also did go pick up some new trim from the metal supplier. I think I talked about it last week. We started figuring out the trim that we're going to put around the windows. And normally on a post frame building, a metal building, you're going to use J channel. And for some reason, I can't remember all the reasons. I know when I was planning on the window install, I had 2 school of thoughts that I found online. And the real thing with this build that we're doing is it's kind of different than anything I'm seeing online. Nobody's documenting the process, and I would, but like I've mentioned it several times that it's not going to get a ton of views because not a whole lot of people are doing this. And so it's the juice squeeze whole theory. But even trying to find different schools of thought on installation methods and things like that, I'm seeing 2 different theories, and I did a pros and cons list of both ways, and I went with one way, and it's causing problems down the road. It's not causing problems. Rewilder Life says it's looking excellent. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's not. It's just got to be done different than traditional methods because of decisions that were made prior. So we got to where we were going to install the windows, and we had the J channel ordered. We thought we could make it work, and then when we got the girts or purlins, the wood that the metal screws to installed, it didn't really line up right for the J channel. So we did some brainstorming, looked at the trim sheet, and figured out there was a way we could compensate for it and make it work. And we think it's going to work. We did get to look at it this weekend. We got started on it a little bit yesterday, And I think the decision we made would work. We probably could have got away with a little cheaper. Had our friends over for a barbecue on Friday night, and we were looking at it, and he was one of them's like, "Oh, you could have just done this," and I was like, "That probably would have worked, and it probably would have been significantly cheaper, but it is what it is, and we'll get it done." Um, but we went and got the new trim. I got it ordered, and we went and picked it up on Friday on one of Corey's days off, and we didn't have to take the trailer. We were able to just put that 10-foot of trim in the back of the truck and haul it out to the property. But anyway, Thursday when Corey was off, we started figuring out how we wanted to finish the porch roof, the enclosed porch. So if you haven't seen pictures, you haven't heard me talk about it, we kind of cut out a section under the roof, an 8x16 area that would have normally been inside. We put walls. We had them put extra posts, and we put walls and made it a covered porch under the roof. So outside but covered. That caused it made it so that we were having to finish extra walls. We were having to figure out how to finish them, because really in the post frame construction, it's designed, and the metal is designed to just go out on the outside, the 4 outside walls. And now we're trying to figure out how to run interior walls, how to get metal onto the bottom of the ceiling, and how to attach walls where there's normally no place to attach the metal at the top. So I've been kind of thinking about it for, since we really got the roof up, or more like when we got the floor hung and we knew where that section was, how I was going to tie that all together and how it was going to look. So the time came, Thursday came, and I had figured out that basically I was building a box around the outside. Had to add another layer of purlins underneath the ones that were there, and add basically like little L brackets around the outside, 2x6s stuck together like an L. So I had both a place for the metal to screw in from the wall and metal to screw in to the roof. My 5'2" wife, and God bless her for helping me, she helped me hold up all these boards, get them in line, get them screwed in, and we got that. We got it started. We got half of it done on Thursday after kind of messing around and with spacing and trying to figure out and how we were going to lay out the screws on the metal. And so then we just went for it. We got half of it done on Thursday, kind of mulled it over, and on Friday with our errands and then our barbecue, kind of checked it out with our friends who have done a lot of custom work on their pole barn and finished out some areas of their pole barn. So they've got a kind of experience figuring stuff out on the fly like that, and talked about it and really felt that it was going to work. Saturday we went out and finished the rest of the ceiling frame out, I guess you would call it, and got the ceiling panels up on the metal panels up on the ceiling. And as they were going up, I was like, this actually might work. This might work. And it started to look really good. We got all the ceiling panels across. We got them done. Sat there and looked at it, and I was like, this is really good. Along the way, as we were framing out the roof, we actually made a decision too. There's a metal truss. So our post frame is wood posts and then metal truss, and we really like the look of the metal truss. They're in, I don't know if you call it industrial, but rough looking. It's just black painted angle iron, and we kind of like the look at them. We wanted them exposed, and we still want them exposed inside where we can, but trying to figure out how to get the metal to transcend or go through that metal truss. That was something that had been spinning around in my head as long or longer than trying to get the ceiling framed out. And kind of, I don't want to say Corey was insistent, but we both really kind of wanted it exposed out on the porch. Just have the ceiling and then the metal truss there, and I thought it would have looked really nice. But in the end, as we were framing out the ceiling, I kind of looked at her and said, this would probably be way, way easier to frame this out and just put metal around it and trim it out and have solid edges to run the metal to. And it didn't take much convincing. I think she realized that it wasn't going to look very nice. It was going to be really hard and it was going to be difficult to do and probably wasn't going to turn out looking very nice doing it rough cut around the truss. And then talking to our friends on Friday night and basically he just chuckled. He chuckled and said, yeah, I would definitely frame that out. It'd be 100% easier. So we went with that and kind of it was a quick figuring to get that idea to be able to frame it out. And we'll just have to order some new trim, maybe a little extra metal, and it'll look way nicer and it'll finish off nicer. So got that started. And then Sunday we went ahead and got the 2 end walls of the porch, got did our first angle cuts on our metal. The metal we had put up so far had all been straight cut to length and install. Some cuts lengthwise, but mostly just cutting to length. Started doing angle cuts, got both end walls of the porch metal put up with no issues. Didn't have any mistaken cuts because that's the way it has to be, because I was very confident and ordered just enough metal to do the whole building. And if we screw up a piece, I think we're gonna have to order more, which will be interesting to go and get like a piece of metal. So got those done and then started working on the trim. So the way we have to do the trim now, I erased it here before the show, but behind me I had drawn out a bunch of custom trim. I was talking when we first logged on or first started the show that we had to go get some extra trim because we changed the way we were going to do it. I talked to the metal supplier. He said that most likely, since I hadn't opened the J channel, they would take it in return. And so I drew out, they do custom trim. So they'll do custom bent metal trim. And so I drew out what I thought would work to cover the extra area that I was needing to do. The reason the J channel wouldn't work. It's kind of hard to explain. But basically, it was going to be purchasing an F channel. And so he ran the price on the F channel. And it was stupid expensive, just the way it needed to be bent, the size of it. And instead of doing that, we went with the stock piece, I guess. The common piece was way less expensive, even with the J channel we had already purchased. So the plan now is we're going to put this one piece against, get that tacked up, and then put the J channel on top. And it looks really nice. So we got the one piece attached yesterday, and then we were holding J channel up to it. We deciding where we wanted to put it. We're going to kind of step it off about a ½ inch, so it's going to look going to look slick. I think in the end, it's going to be a lot of dicking around, but it'll be all right. So we started doing the trim yesterday, and we're attaching it. I don't have a stapler, a power stapler to put that up, which probably would have been a good idea. And it might happen depending on where I can find them for what cost after yesterday's incident. But to attach the trim, I've been using roofing nails that I had left from doing some others, from putting the windows in. And basically, you punch a hole, you hit it once or twice and punch a hole through the metal and then just nail it into the wood, and it holds it in place. And eventually the metal siding is going to go over the trim and it's going to get the screws into it. So it just needs to get tacked up. So a power stapler would be plenty to tack it in place until the metal is screwed over top. Well, I just don't have that. So using a hammer and roofing nails. And so yesterday started putting the trim up, had to mess around with some of the framing, the girts that we had put up and adjust them. So I was getting kind of irritated with that. got it all in place. I put the first piece of trim up, and I'm tacking it up with the hammer and the roofing nail, and fucking hit my thumb with the hammer. Like hit it pretty decent. So I got a little more irritated. Worked my way through that, started again, started nailing in again. But it wasn't the next nail. It's probably a couple more, and I'm whacking away on the nail, and I hit the nail, and the hammer slides off, and it hits the side of my finger, cracks the side of my finger, and then smacks my thumb again. And thumb was already sore. Again, just livid about it. Corey, was it the second nail or the third nail? It happened a lot of times yesterday. Is why I'm thinking about the stapler, but I think it was the third time I had the nail up there, and I was tapping it in, trying to get it started, and it stuck. I think it stuck to the fucking hammerhead and pulled out of the way, and I swung and I hit the tip of my finger or my thumb right on the edge of the nail, and it like shoved the nail into my thumb. It already was sore from hitting it multiple times. It's like all bruised up now. And unfortunately, since we moved from Minnesota, my fingers have actually gotten feeling back in them. When we were in Minnesota, and I would work outside all the time as a service tech and get so much frostbite on my fingers I couldn't feel them. So this wouldn't have been bad if I was still up in Minnesota banging away on my fingers with the hammer, because I couldn't feel them anyway. But since we've left, I've actually gotten feeling back in my fingers, which is a double-edged sword. But as I smashed my finger for the third time, it was just too much. I couldn't handle it anymore. I walked over to the edge of the edge of the porch, and another garden cart happened. The hammer went flying. I was kind of careful, as much as I could be careful in my rage. I aim for nothing. I aim for a big patch of dirt. The hammer went flying. I teared up a little bit. I swore quite a bit. I got my thumb to stop throbbing enough to go look for the hammer. And Corey reminded me last night that I spent about 10 minutes looking for the hammer out in the weeds. But anyway, in the throw, the hammer hit the dirt and flipped backwards underneath the cabin. So ended up having to crawl underneath the cabin to grab the hammer. And now I have not only thrown a garden cart out into the weeds, I've thrown the hammer and buried it. I thought it was out in the weeds. I looked in the weeds for probably 10 minutes and then realized it somehow. Hunter said left-handed anger. Somehow it ended up back underneath the cabin. But yeah, so the garden cart isn't the only thing I've thrown recently. And Corey says I need to be more careful, and or maybe start using softer things that I'm going to throw. So definitely going to be peeking into to a air stapler or likely a battery operated stapler to get away from trying to nail this trim in. Because literally, I was putting in another piece of trim a little later on after the whole throwing the hammer incident, and I was nailing it in, and it wouldn't go in. Like, I started it, it punched through the metal. I'm sitting there, I'm tapping it, I'm being careful. I'm not going to hit my thumb again because it just hurts so much, and it wouldn't start in the metal or into the wood. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I pulled the nail out. Hunter says, have a pocket full of marshmallows. I could throw marshmallows, yeah. And I pull the nail out, and I look behind the trim, and somehow, out of all the places I could have nailed it, I was trying to nail it into a screw behind it. So yeah, it was never going to go in. So I'm just having some bad luck with nails and hammers. I mean, I did pretty good through the whole window install, that was like 20 nails per window. We got 10 windows, so it's like 100 or 200 nails there. Putting the trim around the Z channel around the whole base of the cabin, I did really good. I hadn't hit my thumb much at all. But something about holding this trim in place and trying to get that nail started, yesterday I was just whacking the fucking shit out of my hand, and it hurt so bad, and I couldn't stand it anymore, and had to let some frustration out. So launch the hammer, and if I hadn't found it, I would have been all right. I have multiple hammers out there, and could have definitely thrown another one. So that is the new garden cart story. Nothing incredible by any means, but anyway, so that's where we're at. Excuse me. Whoa, something just popped in my throat. I don't know what it is, but holy crap. So right now where we're at, that's gonna happen again. Whoa. How's that? So the next thing is this week, Corey is she's off on Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Looking like Thursday is going to be a good day to work. Saturday and Sunday looking kind of rainy as of now. Tennessee weather can change day to day, weather forecast for sure, because the weathermen don't know what the fuck they're talking about. But hopefully I have a day to get some of the J channel set up. Like I said, we kind of cut some pieces. We're holding it up. We didn't get anything attached. I got a video, a guy that I found on YouTube that does a phenomenal job explaining different ways to install pole barn trim. And I've downloaded his video and just need to watch it. I've watched it, man, probably I would say I've watched it a dozen times or more at a minimum. And I know what he's doing, and I know how it turns out, but it's just the actual doing it. So downloaded the video, and yesterday towards the end of the day, Corey had to work today. We had some stuff we had to do when we got home, and I just couldn't take the time to sit down and focus and go step by step in the video to mimic how to get it done. I think once I do the first one, once I get it cut and actually physically make the cuts, it'll be no problem going forward. Like the more I watch the video, it's really actually a simple process, and it makes complete sense how they go together. It's just getting the right measurements and getting the right parts of the trim cut and bent in the right direction to get it together. And so I'm going to take my time and try to get the door and the window on the porch trimmed out. And basically Thursday, I hope we can knock out the sidewall or that back wall of metal and around the doors and the windows and get that experience. And we're really kind of doing the porch first to work at ground level. Well, quote unquote ground level, the level we're standing at, because the rest of the cabin, everything's done 4 foot in the air from the ground. So it's just more difficult to learn that way. So by the time we're done with the porch, we'll have done angle cuts on longer pieces. We'll have done all the trim on the doors and the windows. We will have done fitting the metal around doors and windows. And that's pretty much what we need to do the rest of the way. But we'll have to do it kind of up in the air a little bit. So on ladders or scaffolding. So get a little practice, and hopefully the porch will be done on Thursday, hopefully, and then we can move forward on Saturday or Sunday if the weather cooperates. But move on with getting the rest of the cabin done and get moved out there. So it should be not soon enough. Still pending on the new property. Getting electric and stuff out there and seeing if we can get the camper pulled out there, get a little closer. That definitely would speed up the cabin work progress, being able to work up there at night and really whatever day we wanted without a half an hour commute each way. So still working on that, and we will see how it goes. So that's the cabin update. Going well. Happy with how the metal's going on, and for as inexperienced and teaching myself how to do every single step along the way, it's going pretty smooth. So haven't had any major catastrophes or mistakes yet, other than the hammer throw. Maybe I should think about being in the Olympics. Probably wouldn't do very well in the Olympics since my throw, once it hit the ground, went backwards. I don't think that. I think they need to finish forward, and I didn't get very much air. I actually was hoping to just throw it into the dirt, have it stick into the dirt. Was kind of what was running through my head in that fit of rage. But best laid plans. What is else next on the list? Next on the list is man, I had 2 appointments this past week for the truck. Had to get an oil change. Chris Dixon says, sounds like the special ones are calling. Good morning, Chris Dixon. You didn't win your 3rd week in a row, Chris. Unfortunately. So I had to get an oil change in my truck. I had to also get new tires. Our tires were they were definitely in need of changing. One had gotten a little off kilter, so it was rubbing funny, and the whole side was kind of bald, and yeah, they were overdue significantly. And it was the side that Corey usually rides. I've been driving the majority of the time in the last few months, and the worn side is on the passenger side. So every time she would get in the truck, she'd have to look at them, and it was time. It was definitely time. But it's definitely a financial investment to get tires for that truck, especially all the way around. I mean, it ends up being like $1,000 for everything out the door. If I want to buy new, decent enough tires. So I had to get a oil change and a tires. There's a local shop here that we've gone to. There isn't a whole lot. There aren't a whole lot of shops around. There's kind of shade tree mechanics. There's guys doing it out of their garage. And then the places that are around are pretty busy. And I found one that's 10 miles away, if that. 7 miles away, something that came pretty recommended when we got here. I've had them do the oil changes on the truck since we've got here. When we had the misfire issue, went and they did spark plugs for me and they've done some other stuff, and they've always done decent work. They have pretty decent reviews online. Our friends kind of live over by them, and they use them with decent but mixed results. So I called them for an oil change appointment, and they were like, so this must have been like a Thursday 2 weeks ago. And they were like, well, the first appointment we have is Tuesday. And I was like, well, I mean, if it's the first appointment you have, I'll take it. It's not going to make or break me for four or 5 more days on waiting for an oil change. And so she's like, well, we get here about 9:00. And first of all, I was like, fucking 9:00. Why the hell are you opening at 9:00? I got to wait 5 days for an appointment, and you open at 9. I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, it's your business. It's your business. I'm giving you money to come and have you do stuff. So obviously it is what it is. And so Tuesday came around. Oh, I asked them if they did tires, and they didn't. So I started searching for someplace else to do my tires. So Tuesday rolled around, and I got done with my morning stuff here. We walked the dogs, and I headed out. I rolled into their parking lot about 5 to 9, and there was no one there. Like the open sign was off. I kind of looked in, and the back door, the back overhead door was open. And right about 9:00, the front door opened, the front service door opens, and there's a guy in there kind of sweeping the floors. And I walk up with my keys. I'm like, hey, good morning. He's like, hey, how's it going? I said, well, I got an oil change this morning. And he says, "Oh well, they'll be here in a little bit." Them being the owners, I guess, the owners. So she works in the office, and he is the head mechanic, and then they have like this helper guy is all that works there. And I'm like, oh, okay, thinking to myself, well, it's a fucking oil change. Can't you just do the fucking oil change? You're maybe you can't. I don't know. So I sit down with him. He's kind of dicking around with the tail lights on this old work truck, farm truck, telling me how he doesn't know how to do shit on the wiring and blah blah blah. And so I started helping him troubleshoot the taillights on this truck while we waited for the owners to show up. Quarter after, 20 after 9, all of a sudden they've come flying into the parking lot, rolling around the outside of the building, come walking in, hot mess, everything disheveled. They walk in, and man, it was another like, it must have been another 10-15 minutes before she had the paperwork and brought it out to the kid that had been standing there since 9 o'clock, hands it to him. He brings my truck in, does all the oil change, everything, and the other guy was like taking a shit the whole time or something. But I was like, he literally could have almost been done by the time she got there, and definitely been done by the time she got him the paperwork. What a shit show. And I was just irritated. I'm like, we gotta wait till 9 o'clock about 9 o'clock was the first thing that pissed me off. About 9 o'clock. Well, you're wasting my fucking time now because I show up at 9 o'clock. Do I show up at 5 after 9? Do I show up at 9:30? And if I show up at 10 o'clock, do you move on and now I gotta wait for you to finish somebody else's car? I'm like, this is kind of bullshit. I guess the service was fine, the price is about right, but that kind of lackadaisical, especially when I have to wait for an appointment, just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. Was telling my friends about it on Friday night. They're like, you need to tell them this, not us. And I'm like, no, I just don't need to go there anymore is going to be the solution. So the other appointment, so really wasn't really satisfied with that. And this was kind of new. Like, I recall the last time I went in, they opened at 8. They were there when I got there. They started working right away, and it was the same owners, the same everything. And I just don't understand why this transition to we'll get there when we get there kind of shit. It doesn't rub me the right way. So the other appointment I had this week was the tire appointment. Had no idea. After she said they didn't do tires, I went to Facebook, one of the local town groups, and I said, hey, where can I get tires for a full-size pickup truck? Got several recommendations. One of them, the girl tagged the owner of the place, and I looked up the place on Google. They had fantastic 5-star reviews. The lady sent me a private message after she got tagged. She's like, hey, I see you needed tires. I was like, yep. And I had no idea what I wanted to put on the truck. We've only bought new tires on the truck once since we bought it. Well, actually twice. We did 2 at a time, a couple different times. And basically I took it into the tire shop and was like, hey, put the same thing we had on it. And I really wasn't sure what we had on it. And I was just talking to her spur of the moment on Facebook. And so I knew the size, and that was basically it. And so she's like, hey, give me a call. We'll talk about it. I said, all right, cool. Called her, had a fantastic conversation with her on the phone. She walked me through all the different price points of tires that she offered in that size and what I was looking for. Went down all the check marks. Do you want black walls? Do you want white lettering? Do you want black lettering? Blah 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 blah. Aggressive tread or off-road, highway, all season, blah blah blah. The whole thing. Gave me different price points. Gave me the price out the door with mounting and balancing. And I said, okay, these are the tires I want. She's like, okay, I don't have them. I can order them in. They'll be here tomorrow. Would you like to make an appointment? She's like, we do walk-in service or appointments. So you're welcome to just show up once the truck shows up with the tires, but you might have a bunch of people ahead of you and you'd have to wait. If you'd like to make an appointment, we have 2 bays, and if we're working on another car and your appointment time comes up, you get service first. Then everybody that walks in understands that. We tell them up front. I said, well, let's make an appointment. Showed up at an appointment. My appointment was at 2:30. I showed up at like 2:25, and the lug nuts were coming off my truck at 2:29, and I was like, okay, I like this. Service was as expected. It was about an hour to change and mount and balance and reinstall 4 tires. One guy doing it by hand, the whole thing by himself. I was like, that's not bad. I wouldn't expect to be at a place anything less than an hour. And the price was what it was. It's expensive for those tires. So I was happy with the service. Watching her interact with the other customers that walked in. 2 other customers popped in while I was there. They had pleasant experiences also. And I was like, all right, this is way better than the last place I was at yesterday. And come to find out, when I was paying, she's like, okay, well, we just bought the place in August, and we're kind of ramping up service, and we're gonna end up probably having a couple more techs and doing stuff, and we also do oil changes and we do brakes. And she gave me a little list of stuff that they do there at the shop. And so I think I found my new place to get my oil changes done. I think I have to skip going at the show up about 9, and maybe we'll get to you when we get to you. Make an appointment at this place, and hopefully it just rolls in and the service is smooth. But she's actually trying to build her business, and I think the other place is just they don't really fucking care. So I think I found my new place. I found my new place to get my truck worked on, and it's not that much further than where I was going. So I think for the less headache, for the less frustration with the attitude, I think it's worth the extra couple miles. So we'll have to be making a change there, and it is what it is. What else this week? Oh, Wednesday. Before I went and got the tires changed, I popped out to the property. Like I mentioned, we had our friends over for a barbecue on Friday night, and I needed to get the area around our grill and our picnic bench. We have a pergola set up outside the cabin. It was kind of overgrown. Hadn't done any weed eating or trimming of any of the weeds, grass, plants, or anything that had come up. And so I needed to pop out on Wednesday and do some string trimming before I went to the tire appointment in the afternoon. Thursday, Corey and I were going to be working. Friday, we had to go do a bunch of other stuff. So Wednesday was kind of the day it had to be done. So I run out. The new weed eater, by the way, the Steel has run fantastic. Night and day difference from a residential, just a regular cheapy weed eater. Super happy with it. It's so well balanced. It's got enough nuts to run the chainsaw brush cutter that I talked about last week. Did a video about that, got that posted last week too over on YouTube. But I didn't need that for the trimming I was going to be doing on Wednesday. So basically I was switching back to the auto feed head. I take the trimmer apart, I take the head apart, I take the blade off it, I spin the string head back on, and I'm spinning it, and I was kind of in a hurry. Spin it. And I go to stick the rod in to lock the gearbox to tighten the string head. I don't know if you ever changed a string head on a string trimmer, but basically the steels make it really nice. It comes with a little metal rod that you stick in a hole, and it catches on a plate, which locks the head, so you can actually spin the attachment and so it doesn't just keep spinning. Well, I put the little rod in there, and it's just spinning and spinning and spinning. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Well, in my haste, in my rush to get going, when I took the blade off, I loosened the nut. I had the little rod in there, locked it up, loosened the nut, spun the nut off, and when I took the plate, the chainsaw plate blade, I don't know what you call it, off, part of the head stuck, the arbor, if you know what that is, stuck in the hole in the blade. I took it off, I grabbed the string head, I spun it on, and it spun on good enough that it locked on. It, like, when you tighten a thread, it just cinches up. Well, it cinched up enough that I couldn't spin it off, and there was no way to hold the little screw in there, because the plate that had the hole that locks it up was in the part I had taken off. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And I just look down and I see the part that was supposed to be on there stuck to the other blade. And I was like, oh my God, how did I manage that? So I'm sitting there trying to figure out how I'm going to hold this shaft to spin off the string head to get this put back together right. And so I messed around with it. I tried to hold it with my multi-tool. I didn't have a lot of tools out there. What I wanted was a pair of needle nose vice grips, which I had back at the camper. But I really didn't have anything with me much that would help in this case. Trying to hold the shaft with my multi-tool pliers and trying to spin that off, and it had seized up enough that it was really hard to turn. Couldn't get a good enough grip on it to break it free. I took the head assembly off the weed eater, and if you look inside it, the shaft from the motor comes down, and it's a piece of like 1/4-inch keyway. If you know what that is, like a 1/4-inch metal stock square, and it goes in there and it locks in, and that when that spins from the motor, the gears spin the head of the weed eater. And I was like, oh, if I could get something in there and hold on to that, it would keep it from spinning, and I would be able to break free that head. And so I went and grabbed a couple of the old weed eater heads that we had laying around from the old crappy residential ones. I took one of those apart and got the shaft from it out. Had the same size keyway in it, but it was basically a big wound up spring. This one was meant for, or all of them actually, I took a couple apart, were meant for like bent shaft, so it was flexible. And when I put it in there and grabbed onto it with the pliers, and I went to spin it, it was just spinning and like tensioning it. I was holding it. It wasn't spinning in the pliers, but it was basically tensioning it because it was like a big spring. So right concept, different. If it had just been a solid shaft, it would have worked great. But I couldn't get enough tension on it to break this free. I'm like, what the fuck am I going to do? And I was like burning all my time that I had to clean up the area, and I needed to get it done for our barbecue. And eventually I was just defeated, and I was like, oh man, I'm going to go up to Ace where I bought it. Not even thinking it was under warranty, just knowing that they had a shop there that they did repairs. And I was like, oh, cool. At least they'll have tools. And maybe they'll be able to fix it for me. Maybe they know Chris Dixon says, how far does the string trimmer fly? The string trimmer didn't go flying. It really, yeah, it didn't. I don't think I threw anything that day. But I took the little head up to Ace. I went in, I talked to the guys at the shop, and literally it was like explaining what was going on to someone that had no idea how the thing was built. They were telling me that the bearing was seized and all this and stuff, and I'm like, no, this part in my hand here should be in here. And was I had to explain it to him like 3 or 4 times, both the guy that works on the equipment and like the sales guy. And I was like, can I just use your tools to try to fix this? And the guy's like, oh, kind of grumbly, never really said yes or no. He said, well, if you leave it, I'll be able to look at it. It'll take a while. And I was like, yeah, that ain't going to happen. I just don't have the time to leave it and come back. This place is like 10 miles away from where I was, and I just didn't have the time to do it. So the salesman was like, well, I can quote you a new piece and a new head. And it came back, it was going to be like $130 to replace everything. And I was like, that's expensive. I'll cut the fucking string head off it before I spend $130 to replace this. And so I kind of milled about in there and started messing with the guy's tools and was trying different things. And the sales guy was kind of helping me. And the tech back there, at some point he got I don't know if he got frustrated with me being there, if he got interested in what I was doing or what, but he finally just started helping me, probably just get me the fuck out of his shop. And we ground down, if you bought a steel, it comes with a nice long star bit, hex T whatever bit to kind of open the gearbox grease hole, and then it's like the thing you use for a chainsaw key. Got the socket heads on the end to trim it out. Well, they had a bunch of those laying there, and he was like, well, if I grind this down with a grinder flat, we should be able to stick it in there, and with that T handle be able to hold it. Exactly what I was trying to do with taking the weed eaters apart at the property. And so he got that out, grabbed the grinder, and kind of smoothed it out. Tried it once, it was a little too big, and he took a little bit more off it, got it in there, and held that T handle, and I spun the head, and it came right off. And I was like, was that so hard? Like, it literally took 2 minutes. I knew exactly what we needed to do. I told you when I walked in the door, but you hemmed and hawed for 15 minutes while I fucked around with your tools and tried other things, because I wasn't going to pick up his grinder. Well, I would have if it hadn't been in the drawer. But I wasn't going to ruin one of his tools to make it happen. He didn't have any problem with that. But yeah, it took like 2 minutes, got it off, put the right piece together, put the string head back on, went back out to the property, and it worked absolutely fine. So yeah, lesson learned. Always take your time when you're taking the thing apart, putting it back together, make sure all the parts are in the right spot, that you're going to be able to lock that gearbox up to remove or install the new head attachments. So lesson learned there, and avoided a flying string trimmer, which is good because it was spendy, and I really like it, and I don't want it to break. But the guy said, he's like, you were in here a couple weeks ago and bought that. It should be still under warranty. I'm like, well, should be under warranty. It's I have the warranty till 2030 or beyond that. I just didn't know if doing something stupid like this would be covered under warranty. And he was trying to call his boss to find out. And his boss was on a fishing trip and wouldn't answer. So never really did find out if that was going to be under warranty. I don't know. Just doing dumb shit and putting it together with all the right parts there. I don't know if that voids the warranty, if it would have been covered. They probably could have snuck it through and with the boss out of town, but this guy was pretty pretty adamant he had to call his boss before sliding that through on the warranty. But all in all, it got done. I was able to get back and got enough string trimming done around to have that barbecue, and all was good in the world. And then off to have my pleasant experience getting the tires changed. So another successful visit to Parsons Ace and using their tools. So it was shocking to me. And the guy I was telling Corey, it was weird telling the service tech how it was built and what needed to happen. And I think he was a small engine guy. I think he was working more on the engines, on the chainsaw and the string trimmers and stuff, not the actual the mechanical parts. He was working on the engine parts, I think. So maybe I should go over and be their guy that fixes weed eaters or something. I don't know. Got a couple minutes left here. Oh, road crew. The road crews. So Corey and I spent some time on the road this weekend. We drove over to pick up the metal trim. We kind of made a trip over there and a trip back, and then a bunch of trips out to the property over the last few days. And so right now they are going around all the roads and clearing up all the trees that fell down in the ice storm in January or February. All the stuff that had kind of been cut back to the edges of the roads to make the roads passable have just been sitting there since then. People have been instructed that if they had stuff Chris Dixon says, "Well, what's that pile of tools over there?" Oh, that's where Brian throws the ones he can't fix. I mean, you gotta have a discard pile. The residents have been instructed if they had trees come down during the storm, that if they can get them to the side of the road, these folks will pick them up and dispose of them. I think I talked about it last week where it's unfortunate they're burning all this stuff. They're not chipping it. It would have been just absolute gold mine of wood chips, looking at the amount of trees and the volume and size of the trees that they're just burning. Would have been great if they could just had chipped it up and had big piles here, there, and let the folks locally go and get it, because I'm always seeing people looking for wood chips and no one can find any. But anyway, I know it would have cost a lot of money to run the industrial chippers, and it is what it is, but missed opportunity there. But anyway, when they're doing this work, they're using an excavator, like with a grapple hook on it. So big, long, big excavator. And they're picking the trees up and dumping them in these semi-trailer, kind of converted semi-trailers to haul them off. And so there's not a whole lot of shoulders in Tennessee. If you've ever driven on the roads in Tennessee, the shoulders are non-existent. So these guys are working, and so they're having to close one lane. There's signs everywhere that say caution, flagger ahead, 1 lane road ahead, blah blah blah. And about 60% of the time you see the signs and you drive, and then you see the signs on the other side of the road and there's nobody working, so they're leaving their signs out, which is really desensitizing people, I think, to when there's actually workers there. But these flaggers, when you ride up, you come up to them and they're actually there. Rarely are they doing their job. Sometimes they don't even switch their signs. Sometimes they don't even have signs. They're just kind of sitting there, and you're going like 50 miles an hour on a curvy, hilly road, and you come around a curve, and there's just some dude sitting in the road with his hand out or a sign, and you're like, holy shit. They're not really competent at their jobs. There's been times that I've had the guy sitting there waving me on, and I look in the one lane and there's like a car or two coming at me in the lane I'm supposed to drive in, and I like point and he's just waving me on, and I point again, and he turns around and he's like, "Oh, stop!" and puts his hand out like, "I wasn't just waving you on." There's quite a few times that like I said, that you come up on them, they don't have their sign out, they're just sitting there, or if they're not even in the road, a lot of times they're just like hanging out by a car and not paying attention at all. I know there isn't a whole lot of traffic around here and things are probably pretty boring, but when cars do come, you kind of got to be ready for it. And then with Corey the other day, we experienced it both going to the metal place and coming home. We were going along and these guys had these short little stop signs, basically short enough that they were just sitting them in the top of a road cone. And we're coming up this big, significantly sized hill. And as we reach the top of the hill, all of a sudden there's guys standing there in the middle of the road. You couldn't see him from coming up the hill. You reach the top and he's sitting there. Like, holy shit. Maybe you could have come up to the crown of the hill so we could have seen you. And so we sit there for a minute. And on the way back, we knew that they were kind of there, but same situation with the other side of the flagger. Barely over the crown of the hill, sitting there, standing in the middle of the road with their sign that you couldn't see because it was so short. Like if they had it on a big pole, maybe you could have seen it from quite a ways away. But the flaggers are having a rough time around here. And Corey said yesterday that they always look either hungover or I think they're token on the job or something. But they always kind of look in another world. So I guess driver beware. Well, that's up over an hour. I got to get rolling here. Got things to do today. Another show, another week. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to get in on that Bitcoin guessing game, if you head over to t.me/LotsChat, or if you just want to hang out and be part of the conversation, it is always a good time over there. And other than that, I got nothing, and we will catch up with you next Monday.